Hello and welcome to this week's Why Football podcast with me, Eches Adoku, and Michael Dryden. Dryden, how are you?
I'm well. I'm about to spend a week in the English seaside because we can't go abroad. My location cannot be disclosed though, in case the haters come and find me.
Really? Is it Bognor Regis?
It is Bognor Regis, yes,
Hey,
sorry.
spot
Yeah,
on.
so don't go there in case you want to. I'm absolutely ecstatic about the return of Champions League football. Obviously, this is a Champions League special. And the mini football style tournament that we're going to have, I'm excited about because it goes some way to making up for the lack of the Euros this year, which is devastating for all. I've mentioned it a few times on different pods. And finally, Sunderland have a new kit out. We've got Nike again, which I think is good because, you know, jokes aside, I do think Nike make better striped kits.
Yeah, do you think anyone actually cares that's going to listen to the podcast?
No one cares. But we had a Adidas, and I think the Adidas striped kits don't really look as good.
Yeah, I see what you mean.
Trying to incorporate the stripes of the logo, or the brand, with the actual stripes of the kit.
Yeah.
Doesn't really work.
I mean, you should be grateful that those two kit makers are making kits for you because it could be Macron.
It could be Sondico.
It could be Sondico.
Absolutely.
Ooh, no one wants Sondico.
So how are you, Etches?
Yeah, I'm good, thanks. The last pod I said that Javi Martinez was Bayern's first Spanish captain. I wasn't sure on the fact, but I was actually right.
Well done.
Happy about that. Yeah, 1 gold star for me. So Arsenal have this training top, right? It's like a icy lemon is what it's described as. It looks horrible online. Like it's like a 0 out of 10 online in terms of like source levels. But when they wear it, it's like 12 out of 10 source levels.
Okay.
So I saw a guy in the park wear it on Sunday. I was like, oh, I'm going to go buy it. And it's sold out everywhere. So I've bought it from this Spanish shop called like, hold on, I got the name. El Corte Inglés.
Oh, good pronunciation.
Yeah, and basically, I sent it to the wrong address. So they said they've changed the postcode for me, but I have a feeling it's going down there. Yeah, so a bit of problems with that.
Well, people buy those training kits, and also, especially with Sunderland, they buy the retro tops a lot because they're always cheaper.
Yeah.
So I think the new Arsenal top is like £100.
The real match one is £100.
Right, okay,
like
but you can get the retro. Okay,
yeah.
But even so, like the training tops are like half the price,
Yeah.
the retro tops as well. So people get them because it's so much money.
Yeah, 100%. Because we're on the topic of Arsenal, FA Cup winners, fantastic result, beating Chelsea 2-1. Aubameyang, he is sold Zuma.
This second goal was brilliant. It's like the way he lifted in that position.
He sent Zuma into 2021.
Oh, good.
Yeah, so that was a fantastic achievement. And then, yes, that's pretty much it. Actually, no, quickly, there was a guy in the pub who tried to shush me when Pepe scored that offside goal. And if he ever listens to this pod, I'm just really happy. This week, Jordan will be telling us all about Atalanta, their history, their route to the Champions League quarter-finals, and we'll discuss whether Atalanta can cement their place amongst the big boys. Before we start, please follow us on Twitter at yfootball_ for our latest content. Please follow and subscribe with us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Acast for immediate access to future episodes. Who are Atalanta and how have they performed historically?
Atalanta Bergamasca Calcio.
Good pronunciation.
Are a Serie A team based in Bergamo, Lombardy. They were founded in 1907 by Swiss students, and they wear a very wavy blue and black stripe kit that they're very synonymous for having. Their name and badge depicts the female athlete of Greek mythology, Atalanta. They play at the Jewish Stadium that has a 21,300 seater capacity and has recently been under renovation. Their local and biggest rivals are Brescia, who they beat 6-2 this season, which we'll go on to.
Ouch.
They're commonly referred to as Regina delle Provinciali, meaning Queen of the Provincial Clubs, with 58 seasons in Serie A, 28 seasons in Serie B, and only 1 season in Serie C. They have a revered youth academy, and as of 2014, they had 25 former youth players playing in Europe's top 5 leagues. They won the Coppa Italia in 1963, the only major piece of silverware. They reached the Winners' Cup semi-final in 1988, despite still being in Serie B, which is regarded as the best performance ever by a non-division side and a non-first division side in a continental competition. They've played in the UEFA Cup on 4 occasions, 4 different seasons, reaching the 1990-91 quarter-final, losing to Inter Milan 2-0. They are regarded as a bit of a yo-yo club and have been relegated in 87, 94, 98, 2003, 2005 and 2010, synonymous with Sunderland probably. And then came in 2011-12, they were docked 6 points as part of the Italian match fixing scandal for Cristiano Doni's involvement in that scandal and other players in Serie B and some of the lower leagues in Italy. Various players were arrested, with police unveiling a complex gambling system involving criminal figures in Singapore, Eastern Europe and Italy.
Yeah, after the issues with Juventus, Milan, Fiorentina, Regina and Lazio, I think that was in 2005, 2006 type of time, you would have thought Serie A...
Calciopoli.
Yeah, exactly, spot on. You would have thought Serie A or, the Italian league in general would have learned its lesson. Clearly it hasn't. Also, you mentioned Brescia being their arch rivals. I think this season they've had Balotelli there. And he basically has had a torrid time there. His contract, I believe, has been terminated. There's that video that went round where he rocks up to the gates.
Yeah, I was going to say that, but I didn't know if it was true.
He comes up to the gates and tries to get in, and they're like, "Yeah, no, you can't."
I say, "No, can you go home, please?"
And that's a big L, to be honest with you. But he is who he is.
Yeah, in the months ahead, more high-profile players were arrested, such as Stefano Mori, the former Lazio vice-captain, and former Genoa captain Omar Milanetto. Domenico Criscito was investigated and ultimately excluded from the Italy squad for Euro 2012, which I vaguely remember. I don't remember the scandal much, but I remember there being some kind of issue with the Euro squad. That's
mad. I didn't actually know that about Criscito. He was a bit of a con on Ultimate Team. So I think he was like... back in the day, on like 2011, 2012, he was like rated... like 84 overall, good rating, but then his pace was like 80, and you can't be a left back with 80 pace on my team because you'll get exposed.
Yeah, he's one of them players I have no information about other than FIFA.
I know he played for Zenit St. Petersburg, but apart from that, my knowledge isn't extensive.
So despite the deduction, the club managed to secure another year in Serie A by gaining 52 points in 38 games. Although they were docked a further 2 points next season where the scandal had overlapped. 2 points seems a bit pointless, but There you go. It could be the difference between a certain position in the league. After that period, Atalanta consistently finished in the bottom half of Serie A until the 16-17 season, where Gian Piero Gasparini led Atalanta to what was their highest ever league finish at the time, finishing fourth with 72 points. And Gasperini is still the manager today.
Who owns Atalanta? Do they have resources behind them?
So the majority shareholder is Antonio Percassi, a former Atalanta player who debuted in the 1970-71 season and went on to play 7 seasons for Atalanta. His initial stint as chairman actually was in 1990 until 1994. He regained the helm in 2010. Percassi is actually listed 1,990th on the Forbes 2020 billionaires list, with an estimated fortune of $1.1 billion. He's a real estate and retail mogul and owner of Kiko Milano, an Italian cosmetics brand that a lot of listeners will know very well.
Yeah, you do, don't you?
Big fan. He allegedly offers the black and blue jersey, or has been known to all babies born in Bergamo hospitals, which will need some serious verification, but I read that online. He does have significant resources, and this has to an extent contributed to Atalanta's rise. Last summer, Atalanta signed Luis Muriel, an Ultimate Team legend, from Sevilla for around 18 million, and Ruslan Malinovsky from Genk for around 12 million.
Yeah, for a mid-table sort of side, as you previously mentioned, that is significant investment. I wonder, after this fantastic campaign, how many of their current stars will be poached during this upcoming transfer window.
Yeah, absolutely. Duvan Zapata's 12.6 million loan deal was made permanent in January 2020 for an additional 10.8 million. It's quite an expensive loan deal, but you do wonder, a lot of these loan deals probably do come at quite a hefty price, but it's not often reported.
Yeah.
They've just made Mario Pasilic's deal permanent for around £13.4 million. The only Croatian to score a hat-trick in Serie A. did so in that game against Brescia, where they won 6-2. However, these aren't extortionate sums, probably quite a lot for Serie A and for a mid-table team as yourself, but certainly not for a team that is now occupying Champions League spots. They re-signed Martin de Roon, for example, from Middlesbrough. I believe he played in their relegation team for around 12 million, but had previously sold him for 9 million, so not a big difference there. And their final 3 lineups of this season's Serie A against AC Milan, Parma and Inter, the remainder of the players, aside from those that I mentioned, were either academy players or acquired for less than £6 million.
Bargain. Mario Pasalic never actually played for Chelsea and is another player from their huge loanee system that was bought for virtually nothing and sold for a profit. And judging from their signings, this summer where Werner's come in, as well as Ziyech, and there's rumours of Kai Havertz. Clearly it's paying off.
Yeah,
getting these guys for 300k, maybe even less, and then you're selling them for 13 million.
Even if you're selling them for 4 or 5 million a piece, if you've got 30, 40 in the network coming through, then it's
crazy.
Mad profitable.
One day we'll do a pod on that.
Absolutely.
Can you tell me a bit more about Gasperini? How have Atalanta grown under him?
So Gasparini is a former player. He came through the Juventus youth system, making his first senior league appearance on loan to Reggiana in 1977. He didn't play a Serie A game for Juve and making a handful of Coppa Italia appearances. He made most of his senior appearances as a player for Palermo and Pescara, playing mostly in Serie B and Serie C1, bar a few seasons in Serie A with Pescara. He retired in 1993 at the age of 35. To start off his coaching career, between 1994 and 2003, Gasperini coached within the Juventus youth system. He then went on to Serie C1 club Crotone, guiding them to Serie B via the playoffs. He then went to Genoa in 2006, gaining promotion to the Serie A in his first season. And in 08-09, he led Genoa to 5th place, their highest finish in 19 years, utilising players such as the absolute legend Diego Milito and Thiago Motta in a 3-4-3 formation, which we'll come on to discuss. He was sacked in 2010 following a string of poor results, despite signing the Eternal Man, Luca Toni and Rafinha on loan from Barca. Strong signings.
Yeah, your pronunciations this week have been spot on.
Been working on it.
You've been working hard, mate. Another week, another Eternal Man reference. Keep it up.
I just love referencing all players.
Okay, that's a bit weird, but so Luca Toni had that the celebration. The one with the hand.
That's the Kamara one as well.
Yeah, but you know what? I googled it because I was like, what does it actually mean?
I've always thought that.
Apparently, it's like it's an Italian thing. This just sounds like online rubbish, but apparently it means can you hear what I've just done? Can you see what I've just done? Apparently that's what it means.
Yeah, Henri Cameron did it for Fulham, didn't he?
Yeah, he did.
And I was so bemused as to what it meant. Sorry, no. Sorry, Diamante Camera is who I meant. No, and also Bobby Zamora did it as well. So yeah, the Fulham connections are rife. Yeah, I'm absolutely certain.
Okay, good.
So after Genoa, Gasperini went on to Inter shortly after and was sacked in September after a disastrous start before going on to Palermo and then returned to Genoa for a second stint in 2013. And then in 2016, he finally arrived at Atalanta. Since his arrival, Atalanta finished 4th, 7th, 3rd and 3rd, so the final one being this season, qualifying for the Europa League in his first season and qualifying for the Champions League, obviously, for the first time in Atalanta's history, and now the second. They reached the Coppa Italia final in 2018-19, losing 2-0 to Lazio. Tactically, Gasperini is known for using complex variations of a 3-4-3, 3-4-1-2 and 3-4-2-1. His team's playing style places more focus on scoring goals, off-the-ball movements and quick short passes on the ground, and less focus on long balls and the defensive side of the game. His most commonly used formation is the 3-4-1-2, which lends itself to a wide approach with wing-backs pushing up into advanced positions, then one of the central midfield players or strikers coming across to produce that overload in advanced wide areas. Interestingly, when on one side, width is maintained on the other side, so typically a team will shift across, The system encourages a lot of positional switching, demanding a lot of central midfield players such as Martin de Roon, Remo Freuler, and a little bit further forward, but still central, Mario Pasalic. They provide defensive cover or an attacking run or a passing option, depending on the position of the centre-backs, wing-backs and strikers.
Clearly the system has worked very well for them, with Muriel, Ilic and Zapata all scoring 19 plus goals this season, with Alejandro Gomez weighing in with 18 assists as they top the Serie A scoring charts, bagging, I think, 98 goals, which is 17 more than second place Inter Milan. That's a lot of goals.
That is a lot of goals.
What about this season? Can you tell us about Atalanta's road to the Champions League?
So despite their all-out attack philosophy, Atalanta had a pretty consistent season. So from game week 2 to game week 38, they never left the top 6 in the Serie A. They won 2-0 away to Roma in September, won 7-1 against Udinese in October, and beat AC Milan 5-0 in December, so a strong start to the season. The week after that AC Milan result, they beat Parma 5-0, and then recorded a 7-0 win away to Torino in January. Before the season was out, they also won away to Lecce 7-2 and beat Brescia, as I mentioned 3 times now, 6-2 at home. So clearly favouring offence over defence. They picked up only 1 point each from Inter and Juve, but did take 4 points from Napoli.
Yeah, you do wonder whether against sides like Atletico, if they were to keep in the Champions League, whether they'd be able to actually win.
That would be an interesting matchup.
Yeah, their attacking ball seems to overwhelm sides of similar level to them or slightly superior. But then when against the elite, they struggle slightly. I think I checked the Juve scores. I think it was 2-2 was one game and they lost 2-1 away or 2-0.
That was 3-1 away, I think.
3-1 away. And even Napoli, that's a good 4 points from them, but they're not as good as they used to be, and the Sarri, etc. And it kind of makes you think about the Arsenal teams of old who would rock up to like Villa and beat them 6-0. You send us away to Chelsea and we just lose 2-0.
Yeah,
so
definitely.
It'll be interesting to see.
So eventually, Atalanta finished third with 78 points, only 5 points behind eventual winners Juve. In Europe, Atalanta had a very, very rocky start. Lost 4-0 away to Dynamo Zagreb, 2-1 at home to Shakhtar Donetsk, and 5-1 away to Man City. So they lost their opening 3 games on 0 points. So despite looking destined for elimination, Atalanta drew with City 1-1 at home, beat Zagreb 2-0 at home, and defeated Donetsk 3-0 away to qualify with 7 points.
That's crazy.
I mean, I haven't really got much reference point for the low. I don't know what the lowest points total has been to get through, but that's low.
Yeah,
that's
very.
low. All their group stage home games, interestingly, had to be played at the San Siro due to the UEFA regulations and the club undergoing renovation at their home ground. So not a bad alternate stadium there for the club. What was also interesting is Juve president Andrea Agnelli believes that sides like Atalanta should not be in the Champions League, and said that, I believe, this season, claiming they just had one good season. So he's now eating his words after that second, third place finish in a row. So in the Champions League round of 16, Atalanta faced Valencia, winning 4-1 at home in the opening leg, thanks to 2 goals from right wing back Hans Hateboer and a goal each from Ilicic and box-to-box central midfielder Remo Freuler. In the return leg at the Mestalla, Ilicic scored 4 times, twice from the penalty spot, as Atalanta run out 4-3 winners, winning the overall tie 8-4 on aggregate. They now face PSG in what will be arguably their stiffest test yet.
Yeah, the game against PSG will be their toughest game yet. But with it being one leg, it's almost easier for them in a way. There was as much chance as anyone to win the tie, and for neutrals, they'll be rooting for them. And I also think they just won't have the pressure. PSG have that massive, weight on their shoulders of, we bought Neymar, all these expensive players.
Yeah, absolutely.
When's that CL going to arrive? Whereas Atalanta can just rock up for one 90-minute game and just say, we'll give it our best. They won't have Ilic for that game, unfortunately, but they still have some fantastic players.
Yeah, he's been away for the last few games.
Yeah, in their ranks, so that should be a good game.
Yeah, I wonder if they're going to start the same against PSG that they did against Valencia. So they typically start with Hateboer on the right, Gosens left wing back, with Freuler and de Roon central midfield, Palomino, Caldera and Toloi are typically the 3 centre backs they start with, in front of Gallini. Pasalic starts a little bit further ahead of Froya and Darun typically, with either Gomez, Ilicic, Zapata or Muriel playing it furthest forward. Gomez and Ilicic started against Valencia, obviously with Ilicic bagging 6 goals across the tie. So whether they progress in the Champions League and continue that Champions League journey remains to be seen. But I think what the discussion point is to finish on is, can Atalanta survive with the big boys? Tactically, they are very interesting and very complex, as I've touched on. They play with a kind of intensity that a number of successful sides in the modern game play with. Liverpool, City, the list goes on. And personnel has clearly been recruited to fit Gasparini's system, which could be dangerous should Gasperini ever decide to leave. As individually, they're not revered players in their own right. We touched on Darun being in a relegated Middlesbrough team, for example. And once you become a Champions League team over a number of years, I think recruitment naturally becomes more expensive. So we touched on those 5-6 million a piece players that they brought in to bolster their squad and to fit that tactical profile that Gasperini built. But that becomes less possible over time as you become a Champions League team. However, they do have a very wealthy owner in Percassi and will receive significant revenue from their stints in the Champions League. The stadium has just been renovated and they also have a strong youth academy. Dejan Kulevski came from the Atalanta youth system and was sold for 44 million euros to Juve, despite not playing many games for Atalanta. Was loaned out at Parma, sold to Juve, loaned out at Parma again. So good piece of business from Atalanta. So another potential revenue stream or another potential feeder into the first team.
For those of you scrolling on your phones to know who Dejan Kulevski is, he just won Serie A Young Player of the Season.
Good
so
fact.
that's a good fact indeed. You mentioned the point about players no longer being 5 or 6 million. That is true. The bigger a club gets, but their own revenue also swells. More established players are more likely to join, plus the stars you have are more likely to stay. I think the key aim for Atalanta to really survive with the big boys is keeping hold of Gasperini. He's doing a good job, and their current stars, but that won't necessarily be that easy.
And yeah, I think we spoke about it before the pod. They have quite an aging team, don't they?
Yeah.
So even if they do retain those players, they're going to have to be replaced eventually. And if they want to retain that level, then that's going to be expensive, seemingly.
Yeah, I quickly Googled it. So it's Muriel, Ilic, Gomez and Zapata all over 29.
And they're key.
They are key.
Players.
I mean, that's just for them. The other players in the team as well, we may not have mentioned, but when you've got guys that have scored over 18 goals each from that group, not Gomez, but then Gomez has got the 18 assists. No matter how you look at it, they're really key players.
Yeah. And getting back to the discussion, Serie A is seemingly very saturated as well. So you've got a number of teams vying for that top 4 spot. You've got Roma, Milan, Napoli and Fiorentina, all missed out on Champions League football this season. Fiorentina you don't often see there, but have been known to pop up in the Champions League. So if you discount Fiorentina from that list, there's 7 teams vying for the top 4 places. Atalanta's current wage bill will not be anywhere near that of their peers currently, so missing out may not create such a fallout, but this may change over time if, as I've said, they attempt to retain their stars or build upon them. So then it becomes that kind of Leeds United argument of, do we spend to basically follow that dream?
Yeah, I mean, there's definitely a correlation between wage bill and league position, as well as money spent on transfers and league position. So Atalanta obviously are the anomaly now. So everyone's like, they're bucking the trend, but that will only happen for so long. You look at teams in England like United who are beginning to get their act together because they keep on spending huge sums of money. Atalanta will need to do both that as well as increase their wage bill in order to consistently be there. Otherwise, eventually it will catch up on them.
Yeah, absolutely.
It just will. You're right about the Serie A becoming quite saturated, a little bit like the Premier League. So it's so fierce that sides always miss out. So it wouldn't be really a failure, or Atalanta wouldn't be considered a big player if they miss out on Champions League a few seasons. I think it's the whole infrastructure around it. So if they're in 1 year or in 2 years and out one, that's not necessarily that bad. but I think it's trying to build on that, bigger stadium, bigger players, bigger manager, bigger draw.
They don't have that margin for error that United have. United have failed, or Arsenal, for so long, but have that kind of safety net. Whereas if you're Atlanta, you almost depend a lot on those stars that we mentioned, but mainly Gasparini's system and those players that fit within it. Yeah. If they have a bad season next season, if for whatever reason Gasperini leaves, gets a better job, then suddenly where are you? You might have someone coming in, wants to build a different system. He might want new players, better players, and it might just not work out, and Atlanta might fade away.
That's all from us. Thank you to Dryden for doing the research. No problem. Enjoy your trip.
Oh, thank you very much. To Bognor Regis.
To Bognor Regis for all the fans out there. And thank you to you guys for tuning into this week's Why Football podcast. Please don't forget to follow us at yfootball_ on Twitter. Please also follow and subscribe with us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify and Acast for immediate access to our future episodes. Cheers, guys.
Cheers.